Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Welcome to Foster to Foster, and now here's your host, Dr. Anissa McNeil.
Good morning and welcome to Foster Radio Show. I'm Dr. Anissa McNeil and I am excited this morning to have you join us on the radio. Today we're going to talk about a wonderful organization that really advocates for foster youth. And as you all know, if you listen to our radio show on a regular basis or if you're tuning in for the very first time today, I've dedicated my entire life to working to better the lives of foster youth. And so I'm excited today to really tell you about a wonderful organization that provides so many services to foster youth to help better their lives. And I'm excited because their mission and my mission, education, rings true to the both of us. So before we dive into this organization, I want to tell you about the young people that we're talking about. We're talking about our foster youth. We're talking about the youth that live right here in our society with us. So how many kids are we talking about? Today in the United States of America, we have approximately 400,000 children that are in our foster care system. Now, here in my home state in California, we have about 64,000 youth in our foster care system. More importantly, right here in my backyard, Southern California, where I live, we have approximately 34,000 children in the foster care system right here in Southern California. And as you can see, Southern California has the largest number of foster youth in the state of California. That being said, these young people who are under the purview of our state, meaning that the state serves as their mom or their dad. And with that, we want to look at what type of services they're getting in that system and who also works with them in that system. We're going to have a conversation about that today. But today I want to focus on a little bit on what we call our transitional youth. We're looking at those young people in our foster care system that are anywhere from the ages to 16 to 21. As you can only imagine, it is daunting to think about becoming an adult or being a young adult in the world and not having a mom or a dad. So when the little hiccups happen in life, if you want to open a bank account, if you want to apply to college, if you want to look at maybe rooming with someone, you don't have a mom or a dad to offer you guidance or to offer you instruction. So that population, we really are going to focus on how do they transition into being young adults and what type of services are provided to them as they transition. Another thing that we're going to focus on today, which is so important to me, is the education of foster youth, is how are you being educated and what is the highest goal you can attain? If you've listened to my show on any given Saturday, you'll know that I'm a former foster youth, and I believe that you can attain any type of education that you want to. I'm walking, living proof, having 4 college degrees and a law certificate that you can do whatever it is that you want to do. And so I want you to live in that truth. And so here today on our show, we have a very special guest who works with an organization that is doing phenomenal work on behalf of foster youth. Today in our studio, we have the John Burton Advocates for Foster Youth with us today. We have Miss Debbie Rocher with us this morning. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us this morning on Foster to Foster Radio Show. Debbie, can you tell me a little bit, what is your role at the John Burton Advocates for Youth?
So I am the project director of our California College Pathways project. So we work specifically to improve outcomes for foster youth as they relate to college and post-secondary education. So trying to increase the number of foster youth who successfully enroll and complete college.
Wonderful, wonderful. So nice to have you this morning. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of your organization?
So my organization, John Burton Advocates for Youth, was founded by Senator John Burton. So he has been in the world of politics for a long time. He served as the Senate President pro tem for many years. And in 2004, he was termed out of his Senate seat because of term limits that we have here in California. And so he decided to direct his attention to supporting the most vulnerable of our population, foster youth and homeless youth. And he began the organization that is now John Burton Advocates for Youth.
Wonderful, wonderful, and it's so well known as his foundation. But you've renamed the organization. It is now the John Burton Advocates for Youth. So tell us a little bit about this rebranding and what your search to do moving forward.
So with the name John Burton Foundation, which is how we were known for a long time, some folks misunderstood our primary mission as being a funding foundation. So the word foundation often refers to organizations that primarily are giving money away to other organizations. We have a program where we do provide small grants directly to students for textbooks, but really the fundamental core of our organization is around advocacy work.
Wonderful.
And so we decided to have our name more closely aligned to the fundamentals of what we were doing, hence the name John Burton Advocates for Youth.
Awesome, awesome. So wonderful to have you this morning because your mission and the mission of our work really align very closely. So I'm very happy to have you here this morning. And to all of our foster youth that are listening, if you are a foster youth that is from the ages to 18 to 21, you're going to learn more about the services in which this organization provides. You heard Debbie say earlier that they provide textbooks for foster youth who are enrolled in college. And those awards are given directly to foster youth. So if you're a foster youth and you can hear the sound of my voice, I want you to tune in, listen to the services that this organization provides. Also listen to what we're going to talk about in regards to college. What do you need to prepare for college? What may be some of the information or something that you'll need to work through as you get to college? Like, where am I going to get textbooks? Or how do I switch classes? Or how do I go from a junior college to a four-year college? We're going to discuss that just a little bit. So I want you to stay tuned. And if you too want to go to college, if you have a career in mind, I want you to pull out a pen and a piece of paper and write this information down. Also, if you don't have this on your phone right now, I want you to download Know Before You Go so that you have that information right there on your phone. And then we're going to give you kind of like a little checklist so that you can prepare yourself for the next step. Okay? All right. So, Debbie, as we tune into our foster youth, you see me break away and try to give out little segments to prepare them, because what I would like for every foster child as they listen to this show is to walk away with a salient piece of information that will make their lives better. Mm-hmm. So as we do that, let's talk about some of your work here in Southern California. So can you tell me a little bit about what your organization is doing here in Southern California?
Yeah, so what we do, we're not a direct service organization.
Right.
We're what we call a backbone organization, meaning we function as a convener, as an advocate, working with different systems so that rather than working individually with youth one by one, we actually work with the systems to try to impact large numbers of youth all at once, basically. So we have a project specifically here in Los Angeles called the Foster Youth College Advancement Project, which works in exactly that way. So we're working with the Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS, the Child Welfare Agency here in Southern California, to think about how can they add more to the practice of social workers to really support foster youth as they transition into college. We're working with the colleges here in Southern California, in particular the local community colleges and the CSUs, to think about how can they bring more resources at the colleges themselves to support foster youth who are there, and then looking at how do we bring those systems together, the Child Welfare Agency, the colleges, the nonprofit organizations, to think again about ways that we can really change the practice to better support foster youth to be able to attend college.
Okay. And so I want to talk to you about working in the system. Does it mean that the foster youth will have to identify themselves as a foster youth?
Yeah, so we definitely recommend that when foster youth enroll in college, they identify themselves as a foster youth. And when you go to a community college here in California and you fill out the application, which is called CCC Apply, there's actually a question that says, were you ever in the foster care system? Right. If you answer yes to that question, then you're letting folks know that you have this history so that they can provide you with the resources. Here in Los Angeles, almost every community college now has some form of support for foster youth. So by identifying yourself, you can get access to that additional support that's available.
Wonderful. So if you're a foster youth and you're listening, what you can hear Debbie say is when you do, this is a common application, the community college application, there is one question. And when you fill out this application, it's only you that's filling out the application. So no one else is going to know this. And when I say no one else, not your friends, not your counselor at your school, you fill out this application and you simply check yes. And that provides you with a litany of resources at your community college. So if you're at West LA, you're at Santa Monica, you're at Southwest, you're at LACC, by just pressing or checking yes to that box, you're going to avail yourself to a lot of resources. And I know some of you may be thinking, well, Dr. McNeil, I don't want to recognize myself as a foster youth. I'm done with that. You absolutely can start to live your own life. That's not what I'm saying. You absolutely are going to chart your own path. But on this path, you may need support. And just in case you do, would you please just check that box? And in case you need support, someone on campus will already know that you are a foster youth. It doesn't mean that you're going to go down to guidance service and then say, hey, world, I am a foster youth. Not at all. It just means that you will, when you go to see your counselor at the college, they will know that you are a foster youth. And if you need support, they will know where to guide you. But if you don't check the box, it's hard to rewind the clock and then get the support that you need. So when you go, and I know as some of you are listening and you're saying, I just don't want to be involved, I want to do it my own way. You absolutely can do it your own way. But just in case you may need some support, check the box in private. And when you submit your application online, no one will know that you checked that box. That's between you, yourself, and I. Only the three of you will know.
Yeah, and I just want to say, the colleges take confidentiality very seriously.
Yes.
And if you do check the box that you're a foster youth, that information doesn't get given to your professors, to other students. Nobody's going to have access to that information that shouldn't.
Absolutely. And as a college professor, I don't know any student in my class that is a foster youth. So your confidentiality, that information that Debbie's sharing with you is absolutely confidential. And so I don't want there to be any fear, or I don't want you to think, who's going to know this? It's not like high school. It's not like junior high. Your social worker won't be walking up to the college professor at all. So take advantage of this and make sure that you check that box so that you'll get all the resources just in case you need them when you're there at college. Okay? Well, that's wonderful, Debbie. We're going to go to a short commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to find out a little bit more about the work that you're doing here in Southern California. My name is Dr. Anissa McNeil. You're listening to the Foster to Foster radio show. Please stay tuned and join us after this short commercial break. The Unstoppable Awards is a nonprofit organization that provides scholarships to foster youth. If you are a foster youth graduating from high school and live in Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, or San Bernardino County, we'd like to offer a scholarship to you if you have a 2.3 to 3.2 GPA. You've overcome some significant challenges and you've been accepted to a college, university, or trade school. Please visit our website at www.unstoppableawards.org or call our office at 213-634-5600. 0044. We'd like to help you. We'd like to make you unstoppable. We're back to Foster with your host, Dr. Anissa McNeil. We want to thank all the sponsors of the 2017 Unstoppable Awards: Wells Fargo, the Adams Foundation, Credit Union of Southern California. We want to thank you for being the proud sponsors of the 2017 Unstoppable Awards. Together, we have sent 10 foster youth to colleges throughout California. Thank you for your continued support. Stay tuned for the 2018 Unstoppable Awards in June of 2018. Why don't you join us and help us send more foster youth to colleges? Be sure to go to our website, www.unstoppableawards.org, and listen to all of the stories of our wonderful foster youth. They are truly unstoppable. Welcome back to our show today. We're here in the studio with Debbie. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you.
We were talking a little bit about foster youth and their application to the community college system. And one thing that is new, we're here in October, and there's something always wonderful about October if you're going to college. If you are headed to college, if you're a foster youth and you're headed to college, last weekend was a critical weekend here in Southern California. That was the SAT. So hopefully you took the SAT last Saturday, and upcoming in just 2 weeks is the ACT. But on October 1st, Debbie, something happened on October 1st. What was that?
The free application for federal student aid opened, so otherwise known as the FAFSA. This is the application that all students fill out to get access to pretty much almost every kind of financial aid that there is. So the federal Pell Grant, which gives you over $5,000 a year to go to college, the state Cal Grant, which can give you some additional funds. For foster youth specifically, there's something called the Chafee Grant,
Yes.
which is up to $5,000 per year. So work study, all the different forms of financial aid that are available come through completing the FAFSA. And the FAFSA opened October 1st. It's now available. Students can start completing it.
Okay, so the FAFSA is your application for financial support in college. So if you are a high school student and you're a foster youth and you're thinking, I want to complete the FAFSA, what documents do they need to have, Debbie?
Yes. Well, the good news for foster youth is that if you were in foster care at any point after you were 13 years old, you don't have to provide information about your parents. So that makes it a lot easier. There's a box that you check, and this is really, really important, that you check the box that says, were you in foster care after the age of 13? If you check that box, you don't need to worry about parents' income, foster parent income, guardian income. None of it matters. All you have to know about is your own income. So for a lot of folks, especially if you're coming straight from high school, it's going to be zero, or it's going to be a very small amount if you had a part-time job. So basically what you need is you need your social security number. You need to know how your name is written on your social security card. And if you did have any income 2 years ago, you need to have information about that income. If you did file a tax return, you can actually pull the information straight from the IRS system. You don't need to have it handy. If you didn't file a tax return and you had income, you'd need to know that information. But that's really all you need to be able to fill out the FAFSA as a foster youth.
Wonderful. So if you're a foster youth and you're thinking, okay, Dr. McNeil, I think I got my name down pat, but what about the Social Security number? I've never dealt with my Social Security number. No problem. I want you to contact your social worker or your foster parent or your group home administrator and ask them for a very confidential piece of information that you really, please do not share that with anyone else. Ask them if you need access to your Social Security number for this application. Many of you are out there like, I don't even know it. Where do I get it? That is where you get it. And if you're having difficulty obtaining it from your foster parent or your group home administrator, please call your social worker and ask your social worker for your Social Security number. If your social worker can't get the number to you, contact your attorney and ask for your social security number. If you're having trouble with all of those individuals, I want you to go back to on my radio show, the Department of Consumer Behavior Affairs here in Los Angeles. They hold secure your social security number. So don't worry. We have access to get that number. But I'm sure if you contact your group home administrator, your foster parent, your social worker, or your attorney, you should be able to get that number. So you need your name, you need your social security number, and then you're going to fill out that application. Now, this is the special box that you need to check if it applies to you. If you were in foster care at the age of 13, check that box. Because now all the other boxes below that, what your parent made, what your mom made, what your dad made, what your guardian made, that no longer applies to you. So that's going to be important. So literally, if you are a foster youth, Debbie, and you were in foster care at the age of 13, only 2 sections of the FAFSA really apply to you, which is your self-identifying information and your income. All the other sections don't apply to you. So that has made this really easy to apply for a FAFSA. You don't have to search for anyone's signature compared to the Antarctic ages when I applied, it made it very, very easy. So this is exciting for foster youth that it's all online, it's very systematic, and just one piece of information that I can think of that they wouldn't readily have at their fingertips would be their social security number.
Right. And if you, I think all the suggestions you made for where to get your social security number are definitely where you want to start. If you still can't find it, if you can't track down any of those people, the state California Department of Social Services actually has a foster care ombudsman's office.
Yes.
And you can call that number and they'll call your social worker and make sure that you get what you need.
Yes.
I want to also say one thing about the FAFSA deadline. So the priority deadline for the FAFSA is March 2nd. And you can still apply after March 2nd, but you're not going to get as much money. So we really strongly encourage foster youth to make sure that you get that FAFSA done before that March 2nd deadline. Don't wait to the last minute. If you do have trouble tracking some information down, you want to give yourself plenty of time to make sure you can get it done before that deadline.
Right. And so, Debbie, that deadline, March 2nd, is very important as we talk to foster youth. And as we're discussing this, I want to encourage every foster youth, even if you're thinking about it. Dr. McNeil, I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to go to college, Debbie. It's something that some people do, but I'm kind of thinking about it. I really like art. Do you know that art schools, we have art schools here, and if you apply to an art school, your FAFSA will be taken there. They may say, oh, well, Debbie, I want to know how to do the music industry. I want to learn radio, TV. We have schools for that, and they also take FAFSA. So no matter what you're thinking in your head, just if you think you want a career and you don't quite know the path, I still really want to encourage you to fill out this FAFSA.
Yes.
Because as you solidify your plan, what do I want to do, that will already be taken care of in case you actually do end up in one of these schools.
Right. And a couple of things to say related to that. One is that when you fill out the FAFSA, you can list up to 10 colleges that you might want to go to, but you should know that you can change that at any time. So if you're not sure where you want to go, you can list your local colleges, and then a few months from now you discover a different school you want to go to. You can just go back into your FAFSA and change that. So you don't need to worry about knowing the college. You just have to list at least one. The other thing I want to say related to what you just said is that the California Community College system, a lot of people don't know this, has a huge range of career and technical education programs.
Yes.
So a lot of them are short-term certificate programs that you can go for 6 months or a year and get certificates in things ranging from healthcare, medical assistant, to auto mechanics, to landscape architecture, to art and music, to graphic design. I mean, the list is literally hundreds and hundreds of different fields. It's not just going and getting a 4-year bachelor's degree. There's so many different things that you can do at the community college system.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you want to be sure that you put yourself in a position that you can take advantage of that. If you live in Southern California is quite pricey to live here. And what we know to be true with a lot of our foster youth is when they exit our foster care system, Debbie, a large percentage of them experience homelessness. And one way to set yourself up for success is to go to college or get a career. And what do I mean by that? Well, Dr. McNeil, what are you talking about, get a career? You want to have a license or a certificate or a apprenticeship certification so that you have a skill that allows you to get paid more than the minimum wage. Because minimum wage in California will not allow you to live successfully independently. Not here in Los Angeles, where the average rent, Debbie, is $2,500, or it's ridiculous.
Yes.
And so if you can hear the sound of my voice and you're a foster youth, I really want you to consider, if a four-year college is not for you, no problem. No problem. It doesn't have to be for everyone. But please take advantage of all of our community colleges and get a certificate, get a certification in one of our trades, because you'll make pretty good money in one of those trades. I always tell people, Debbie, if you don't think that trades pay good money, call a plumber to your house. And you will see call an electrician to your house, and
Yes.
you'll see just how much money you can make being an electrician. It is not a subpar career at all.
Yes.
Not at all.
And we also there's over 4,000 foster youth currently enrolled in our four-year university system. So at the
Yes.
CSU and UC systems, over 4,000, there's actually a tremendous amount of support within the university systems as well. So really the whole range of options is open to you.
Right. And we really want to see them really take advantage of it. If we have 34,000 right here in Southern California, we really want to see all of them take advantage of all of the programs that are available. And I consider this, Debbie, I'm a mother. I consider this to be like every other parent. Every parent wants to see their child grow up, and no matter what your career is, I want them to choose a career and to thrive. The choice is up to you, because you're going to actually have to go to work every day and do this.
Right.
But I want you to choose the career and thrive. And that's why your organization really speaks to me so very dearly, is because the John Burton Advocates for Youth, you're cornered in education and you're really helping foster youth be able to thrive. So let's talk a little bit more specifically about your college pathway work. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, it's really focused on supporting foster youth to enroll in and be successful in college. So there's several different ways that we do that. One thing I want to mention is our websites, because we have a tremendous amount of resources on our websites. And we have two websites, one that's geared more towards professionals and one that's geared specifically for students.
Okay.
So the professional website is cacollegepathways.org. And then the student website is student.cacollegepathways.org. So we have all kinds of information about financial aid, about different resources and reports and statistics, about career and technical education, all kinds of resources.
Wonderful.
So that's sort of one of the big pieces of work that we do, is what we call training and technical assistance, where we try to just provide information. We support colleges, we support child welfare agencies. If you go on our website, you'll see we do a lot of web seminars
Yes.
about all kinds of topics. So if you are looking for information about a particular topic, whether it's, we have a Child Welfare 101 for those who want to understand the child welfare system. We have a webinar about financial aid debt and what happens if you lose your financial aid and the implications of that. There's just a whole range of topics. So that's the first piece of work that we do, is training and technical assistance. The second piece of work that we do is policy advocacy. So this is really a key part of our work. We work in Sacramento with the legislature trying to enact new policies to support foster youth. I'm very excited to share that just 2 days ago, Governor Jerry Brown signed a bill that we were the sponsors of, Senate Bill 12. So this is now a law, and we're very excited about that. And the bill is actually designed specifically to make it easier for foster youth to get access to financial aid.
Wonderful.
So we hope to see the numbers that are getting financial aid start to go up as a result of this work. So we're really excited about the policy work that we do. We've had a number of other different policy initiatives that have been successful. Another one that I just want to mention, a couple years ago, we did a bill that allows the foster care ombudsman's office to provide proof to foster youth that they were in foster care. So if you're a foster youth and you need to have a letter saying I was in the foster care system to show to your college or to get your financial aid, if you're having a hard time getting it from your social worker, or maybe you've exited care and you don't know who your social worker is gone, you can now call the state ombudsman's office and they will send a letter directly to you. So this is just a couple of examples of some of the policy work that we've done.
Wonderful, wonderful. And do you? We're going to put up on our website the state ombudsman's office for foster youth, so that you all will have access to that. How do you contact that individual shortly on our show? But those are wonderful services that are offered. And in regards to policy advocacy for foster youth. And when we say that the new bill that you just got passed allows foster youth to apply for FAFSA earlier, can you tell us a little bit about that change?
Right. So what the bill does is actually it does three things, all designed to support foster youth to access financial aid. And the reason that we decided to do this bill, we actually did a research study in 2015 where we were able to get data directly from the community college system, and we found that of foster youth who are entering community college, only 50% are getting a Pell Grant. Now, 85% of those same foster youth are getting the Board of Governors fee waiver, and the criteria to get those two are the same.
Okay.
So we know that they meet the qualifications to get a Pell Grant, and the only reason they're not getting it is that they're not getting their FAFSA done. So we said, okay, what can we do to make this easier? So the bill does three things. The first thing that it does is it requires social workers to identify in the case plan who is going to be assisting any foster youth 16 years or older with the financial aid applications. Okay. So we know if you're 16 years old, 17 years old, it can be very intimidating to figure out how to do the FAFSA. So we want to make sure all foster youth have somebody identified in their life who's helping them with that. The second thing the bill does is, we talked earlier about that box you check off saying I was in foster care after the age of 13. Well, right now, a lot of colleges require foster youth to bring in paper evidence to say that this is true. So what this bill does is it actually creates an automatic system where data between the financial aid application and the social service agency is matched, so that verification will happen automatically.
Wonderful.
Foster youth don't have to go track down that piece of paper anymore. The last thing the bill does is there's a program existing at community colleges called Next Up, which provides additional support to foster youth. So it's at 25 colleges around the state right now, 10 of which are actually here in Los Angeles. What this bill does is it expands the number of districts who can access funding to be able to implement those programs. So we will see more institutions, community colleges, having specialized support specifically for foster youth moving forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. And that will help the foster youth with the first piece of information that we talked about is if you have that one person that's identified that's supposed to help you with this application, then that one person will also know that the only piece of information that they need is their social security number.
Right.
So that'll help this process move along for the youth as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, wonderful. Those are powerful pieces of legislation to help our youth not only enter into a college or a trade, but also successfully sustain them while they're in a college or a career program. So we're going to take a short break here on Foster to Foster radio show and head to our commercial break. We'll be right back after this short commercial break. Thank you for listening.
The Hair Garden, where we grow hair from the roots, is a full-service hair salon and supplies located at 40119 Marietta Hot Springs Road, number 103C, Marietta, California. We are open on Mondays through Saturdays from 9 to 6 p.m. Come in and purchase your hair supplies or receive a full hair service, or let us restore your hair. We have weekly specials. Call the Hair Garden at 951-698-8444 or visit our website at www.hairgardenmarietta.com. That's www.hairgardenmarietta.com. We look forward to seeing you. Happy holidays.
We're back to Foster with your host, Dr. Anissa McNeil. Welcome back to Foster Radio Show. And I'm in studio today with Debbie Roncher of the John Burton Advocates for Youth. Debbie, there's something very exciting happening here in my city in Los Angeles. On October 16th and 17th is your Blueprint Conference. Tell us a little bit about the conference.
Yes, so the Blueprint for Success Conference is a conference we do every 2 years, and the focus of it really is on how do we better support foster youth to attend and be successful in college. So the conference has really grown since we started hosting it. So we started, the first year we did it was 2013, and we had about 300 people. In 2015, we had about 500 people. This year we have over 700 people registered to attend. So we're really excited. There just is this incredible momentum around this issue happening that we're just thrilled with. And what the conference does is it's an opportunity to bring together folks from a whole range of sectors. So we have folks coming from the community colleges, from the four-year universities, from child welfare agencies, from K-12 systems, from nonprofit organizations. We have funders, we have policymakers, all coming together to really learn together, to be inspired, and to figure out ways to move the agenda of this initiative forward.
Wonderful. And how timely, because here in the state of California, every public school system has what we call LCFF funding, which is local control funding formula. And that formula is based on, for the first time ever, funding services for foster youth within our K through 12 system. So what a timely conference to focus on the education of foster youth, as every school district in our state, their funding is based on their ability to identify goals and reach goals for our foster youth.
Yes, exactly. And we're really trying to leverage and capitalize on LCFF and really, providing that support and providing the learning for those districts to really understand and figure out ways to really use those resources most efficiently, most effectively to support foster youth.
Wonderful. So let's talk about some of the highlights of the conference.
Yeah.
What's in store for us?
So we have about 30 workshops that are going to be taking place. So a huge range. There's kind of something for everybody. So we're going to talk about CalFresh, the food stamp program, and how can you support there's actually some new regulations that have just come out to enable foster youth who are attending college specifically to have better access to CalFresh. We're going to be talking about how campus support programs can do things like mentoring programs and academic counseling and retreats and sort of all these different ways that colleges can better support foster youth. We have a panel on immigration and the intersection between foster care and immigration and how we can support those foster youth who are within that immigration system. I could go on and on. We have a lot of
wonderful.
workshops. So
30 workshops.
30 workshops. We also have on the second day of the conference, our keynote speaker is going to be the new community college chancellor, Eloy Ortiz. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name.
That's
This is
okay.
embarrassing. Anyway, the community college chancellor.
Okay.
And we're really, really excited about that because the community college chancellor's office has been a huge ally with us in this work to support foster youth, extremely supportive of this population. So we're thrilled to have him come talk about the chancellor's office's vision and the work that they're doing to support foster youth. We have one of the most exciting aspects of the conference is we have about 100 students who are current or former foster youth who will be in attendance. And this is a really essential piece for us because we really want to make sure that the voice of foster youth is represented. So it's not a conference about professionals just coming together talking about foster youth, but foster youth are going to be in the rooms and all the workshops and all the sessions to bring their voice into the conversation and really have that discussion with the professionals to make sure that that voice is represented. So we've got 100 foster youth coming. We're actually ending the conference with a talent show, which we're really excited about.
All
So
right.
our foster youth, we've got folks signed up to sing, to do spoken word, to play the piano, all kinds of great stuff. So we're really going to get to show off the talents of the foster youth who are going to be there with us. So lots of exciting things.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so this conference happens every 2 years.
Yes.
Okay. And so we'll have about 700 people there in Los Angeles for this particular conference. What are the expected outcomes? What are you looking for every participant to walk away with?
Yeah, there's really kind of two outcomes that we're hoping to see. So one is really just for people to be inspired. You know, the folks on the ground doing this work day in and day out, this is hard work. And a lot of times without a lot of thanks, without a lot of appreciation. And so we really see this as an opportunity to say thank you to all the people on the ground doing this work and have them walk out of it feeling like, yeah, I can do this. This is good work. I'm going to go back to my job tomorrow with just re-inspired and new attitude about the work. So that's one piece. The second piece is learning, and with all of the workshops and our keynote speakers, to really walk away with some concrete strategies to say, you know, I've wanted to start a mentoring program for a long time and I didn't know how, and I went to this workshop and I got a blueprint for how to do that, and I'm going to go back to my program, whether it's at a college or a nonprofit organization, and start a mentoring program because now I've learned how to do that. So really to come away with something very concrete that can enhance the work that they do.
Wonderful, wonderful. I know I'm excited to participate in the conference, and one of the reasons is to walk away with greater passion and fervor for the work that we do surrounding the education of foster youth. Because as you said, Debbie, when you're in the trenches, it's daunting.
Yes.
It's a lot of work. It is a system that we're working within. So this is a wonderful, powerful workshop. As we go into the conference and we hear the voices of youth that are currently enrolled in college and currently a part of our foster care system, that to me is also very powerful, that we're coming together with the youth in order to talk about and discuss those things that will pertain to them as well as their friends and their colleagues. So that is absolutely wonderful. I'm excited to attend. I'm excited to be there and learn more and share. And so I wanted to talk to our audience a little bit about why the education of foster youth is so important. And you've heard me say this over and over, but it's daunting to me that here in California, only 50% of our foster youth graduate from high school. So as you hear us talk about the FAFSA and we talk about all of those other things, can you recognize that of all the high school seniors that are foster youth, you can take that population and cut it in half as to the number that will actually graduate from high school and be able to go on to college. Now, the most daunting to me is that 10% of all foster youth go to college and less than 3% graduate. And that is the statistic that I'm really after to change. All three of those is so that more foster youth will graduate from high school with a good education. Not just graduate, but really graduate with the skill set so that they can go on to college and do well in college so that they can have the life that they really choose to have. It's daunting to me to think that. It's also very personal to me, being a former foster youth, to think that, wow, how likely is it for a foster youth to be in the seat where I sit today? That should not be the case. I'm out to change that. In my mind, every foster youth can get a doctorate degree if they want one. If you want it, you can do it. And so I'm very encouraged with this conference. I'm very encouraged to come together with all the policymakers, because if we in America will allow those statistics to be true for foster youth, we're really doing that for children that we care for on a daily basis. I implore you, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, get involved. Find out why. Help organizations improve the outcomes for foster youth. I know as a parent, it would not sit well with me. I have 2 sons, and it wouldn't sit well with me, Debbie, if I said, oh, well, I accept that one will graduate from high school, but the other will not. That's what we're essentially doing for foster youth.
Right. And, you know, there was actually a research study that just came out this year from something called the Cal Youth Study.
Yes.
And they surveyed foster youth and asked them about their college aspirations. And 85% of 17-year-olds in college said that they want to go to college.
Exactly.
So, you know, this is a population of kids who have hopes and dreams just like everybody else and really see college as a part of that.
Right. I recently gave a talk to an education organization, and I said, in my 20-something years in education, I've never heard a young person stand up and say, hi, my name is Anissa, and when I grow up, I want to be homeless.
Right.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
I've never heard a young kid, 5 or 6 years old or 7 years old, stand up in front of class and say, hi, when I grow up, I want to be on welfare. I've never heard it. So if we don't hear it from the spirit of children, why do we accept that
Right.
as a part of our society?
Right.
And that's why I encourage you, if you can hear the sound of my voice, don't allow that to be the case for a foster youth. They are our children. They just so happen to have a parent who is unable to care for them because of abuse or neglect. Not to their own doing, Debbie. And most people think, oh, okay, they're foster kids. I say, no foster child comes to your house from having a Sunday picnic in the park.
Right.
They just don't. And none of us have the opportunity to survey the world and say, I would like to have her for a mother. I would like to have him for a father. We just don't get to choose. And because none of us get to choose, we as foster children happen to have the parents who couldn't be parents.
Right.
But we still deserve every opportunity to have a life.
Yeah.
And so that's why this conference speaks so heavy to me, and it's so important that all of us that are involved with foster youth are involved in this conference. And so I hope that you are registered. If you're a professional, I hope that you are registered, that you will be there at the Blueprint Conference, and that you'll learn more about the education of our foster youth. If you are not registered, Debbie, can we repeat those websites so they'll know where to go?
Yeah, so, you know, after the conference, we're going to be posting all the information. We're going to be posting all the slides from the workshops and everything. It's blueprintconference.org. So folks who aren't able to attend can still find some of the information. And then our website is cacollegepathways.org. And so you can go there and get all the information about everything we do, including the conference.
Wonderful. Well, I'll be excited to see you there on October 16th. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Foster to Foster radio show. What a true delight to have
Well,
you.
thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in to Foster radio show. My name is Dr. Anissa McNeil. I do the work and I tell the stories of foster youth. Thank you.